You duck and cover, tight, duck and cover under the table. It's a bomb, duck and cover.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Governments made complicated preparations for doomsday.
I'm going to explain to you the system of warning signals that will be used in this country in the event of a nuclear attack, and on which you should be prepared to act. There are 4 warnings: the red, the gray, the black, and the all clear. Where sirens have not yet been provided, the grey warning may also be given by church bells, or in Scotland, where church bells are not in common use, by word of mouth or by whistle.
Because U.S. bombers were based in Britain, the United Kingdom was expected to be the first target in Western Europe. It was estimated that 1/3 of the population, around 18 million, would be killed in the first few minutes of an all-out attack. Civil defense volunteers were trained to deal with the aftermath.
We'd go right through from arriving at the scene to rescuing them, treating, giving first aid, removing them to casualty centres, and then they would be categorised and moved on, either dead or needing further treatment.
A dramatized version of an attack was filmed for showing on BBC television in 1965.
Time, 9:13 a.m. This family couldn't afford to build themselves a refuge. This could be the way the last 2 minutes of peace in Britain would look. 9:16 a.m. A single megaton nuclear missile overshoots Manston Airfield in Kent and airbursts 6 miles from this position. At this distance, the heat wave is sufficient to cause melting of the upturned eyeball, 3rd-degree burning of the skin.
The war game was banned and not shown for 20 years. The authorities called it alarmist and bad for morale. In the government's own informational films, underground control rooms handled attacks calmly. Officials were shown tracking radioactive fallout and evacuating whole cities in an orderly fashion.
Well, you've had the fallout warning. Should be due any time now. Here it is. Number 1, fallout, 1528.
I think we all thought we were going to save the world. Initially, I mean, after some time and watching films and seeing the increase of the power of the bomb as the years went on, I think we realised that there'd be nobody who'd be surviving. And these civil defence exercises do us no good at all, because we'd all be dead.
But despite the official pronouncements, the public came to learn that just testing weapons was dangerous. In the early 1950s, American H-bombs were routinely tested on remote atolls in the Pacific.
The survey aircraft carefully searched the area and reported no shipping. The shot was fired. The wind failed to follow the predictions, but shifted south of that line. A Japanese fishing trawler appears to have been missed by the search, but based on a statement attributed to her skipper, to the effect that he saw the flash of the explosion and heard the concussion 6 minutes later, it must have been well within the danger area.
The Lucky Dragon was out fishing when the United States tested its largest H-bomb ever in 1954. Matashichi Oishi was on deck.
My face, and this is the side the ashes hit, came out in rashes and small blisters. Then after a week I started to lose my hair. Hair would stick to the comb in clumps when we combed it. Our hair was falling out.
The 23 fishermen all developed radiation sickness. One died. Their experience provoked an outcry in Japan, where the extent of the long-term injuries to the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was only now emerging. Those stories had been suppressed immediately after the war. Demonstrators called on the Western powers to stop the Pacific tests, but to no avail.
Like a man-made sun, the fireball glows high above the Pacific Ocean, a signal to the world that Great Britain is now a top-ranking power of this nuclear age.
After the first British H-bomb test in 1957, an entirely new type of popular protest emerged. It showed the real extent of public fears.
This business of hydrogen bombs and nuclear weapons is supremely a moral issue. I believe myself that the cross is a much more important symbol than the sword. And I believe that this march to Aldermaston, it's an event in the course of the campaign for...
Some in government call the campaign subversive, but the organizers made their position clear in a film narrated by Richard Burton.
When politicians fail, people must give the lead. Not people of one class or age or country, for this is everybody's cause. Yes, these were ordinary people, not frivolous or eccentric, but ordinary people with a point of view.
Well, I feel that this is a question of survival. There's no question of hitting back. It's purely on the basis of survival. If we have another atomic war of this kind, it's the finish for Britain. And I personally feel that it's time the people of Britain realise that. When they realise that it's compromise or death, and I think they'll make a real effort to solve the question of the H-bomb.
And as part of the youth in England who are going to live in the future, I felt it was my responsibility to take part in any sort of demonstration which would help stop warfare.
Sally Duganis was one of the thousands who marched on a weapons factory outside London in 1958.
We felt that we united everybody under our banner, that it avoided party divisions, it avoided class divisions, it avoided age division, and here we were for the first time, a united country behind one very simple idea. And it was a wonderful feeling of excitement and moving forward and a better world. I don't remember feeling it was particularly radical, but it was just an excitement of something new that everybody had to believe in because it was so obviously right.
The march to the weapons factory at Aldermaston was reported around the world. It challenged the secrecy surrounding the nuclear program and dramatized the gap between political leaders and growing numbers of people.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In 1963, The three countries who'd made the bomb first agreed to stop tests